Well, thank you for joining me today. Welcome to the Indigenous Entrepreneurs Podcast. Today I have Latasha Ramone with me from Deep Rooted Therapy LLC. So just to get started, could you introduce yourself and then your business?
Yeah, my name is Latasha Ramone. I'm Navajo. My clans are Sinsakadni, born for the Hashlishies, and that's all I know so far. From Navajo Nation, obviously the eastern side of it, so near Crown Point area. Yeah, that's where I'm from. And I am, and my business is obviously Deep Rooted Therapy, like you said, LLC. I started that 2 years ago as a mobile massage business, and we're slowly growing. So right now I do have some office space for the people who can't do mobile, but I'm still mostly mobile, like operational right now. So that's what I am, what I do.
Yeah. So how did you get started? Like what was the journey that kind of led you to start your massage therapy business?
Well, it was after COVID or during COVID, during the pandemic. As a massage therapist, we were the first to lose out on our jobs, because it's very contact to contact.
So were you working somewhere before that as a massage therapist?
Yeah, I hate to say their name.
Oh, you don't have to.
Yeah.
You are working as a massage therapist.
Yeah, at a corporate corporate shindig. So from there, with the shutdown, everybody was scared to go back to work. Everybody was scared to go out in public. Everybody, even our clients, were scared to come into the clinics to get a massage. So a few of them have asked me if I would go to their house. And I thought about it. And the ones who did ask, I really could trust them and to not get me sick, not, all of that. And I knew they were pretty good clients as well. So I tried it out with them. It went good. Like, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed going to their home, and right away I could get to know them a lot better. And for me as a massage therapist, that helped me give them a better massage, like catered specifically to them. So going from the corporate world where I felt like I was stuck in a routine, especially with my massages. And so it started affecting me and how I worked. So when I did that with those clients, I took off with it. I talked to my friends, my family, and they were like, yeah, you can do it. Just be careful. So I started telling people, hey, if you want, I can come see you. This is my rate. And a lot of people were okay with it. Obviously, it was a very lower rate back then, but now 2 years into it, it's going pretty steady. A lot of people are booking with me. They feel more comfortable booking with me. But right now, I think we're getting to the point where I do need to settle into an office so more people can come see me for sure.
Yeah. So when you first got started, did you just kind of start doing it and then taking the cash, and then when did you decide to set up your LLC?
So that one happened last year. So during COVID, so 2020, it was just every few clients I would work on. And then 2021, that's when I was really serious. I was talking to one of my friends here and my family, my sisters, and I started telling them, hey, I think I want to do this, like, for real. And I was like, so I started thinking about it. I started researching like what it takes to be a mobile massage therapist, and a lot of it for the first year, I went under the radar and started doing like pretty much just for me, for myself, for extra income. And then last year was when I really buckled down. I was like, I need to get my LLC because now I need to file taxes and all of that.
All the
So
intimidating stuff.
yeah, and so I took it more seriously last year as far as like doing the LLC, getting my business cards, promoting myself a lot, and I started doing a lot of more pop-up events just to get my name out there, and I really enjoy those actually.
Yeah.
The pop-up events gives me a lot of one-on-one time with more people. Like that's what I really enjoy about it. Not the amount of time I spend with them.
Yeah.
That part sucks.
It's pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
When you do the pop-ups.
Yeah, it's like 10 minutes per people, and then to switch between them, and then again, it's just rolling.
Yeah. So when you were starting up your LLC, were there any like specific resources or organizations that helped you with that?
So not really in the beginning. It wasn't until I did the AIBE pitch competition that I, started getting all these resources. Like I met you there, and then I met Rachel there, and then Bitty Baby Foods, and then everybody else just started piling in, and I was like, okay, this is going.
Yeah.
And it just kept going and going. So, and there hasn't even been like a moment where, and maybe this is that moment where I sat down and really like thought about like how far I've come.
Yeah.
For sure. So it's interesting.
Scott, one of our liaisons, said he sat down with you last week, and that during your conversation you realized that you're actually on a growth trajectory.
Yeah, we were both surprised. He was like, "You didn't check." I was like, "Not really, no."
Yeah, well, that's part of the journey, like just learning, and then sometimes you're just so focused on the day-to-day that you don't really take time to reflect on like, wow, I've come a long way.
Yeah. It does require some reflections, especially in this industry, especially as an entrepreneur, because we work 24 hours now, and we never really get a time to sit down and actually look at how far we come. So it was interesting to sit down with him and go over everything else, and I was like, wow, this is actually happening.
You mentioned when you pitched with AIBE last year, like why you went into massage therapy and like why you want to continue to grow this business and the service that you bring to people. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I did mention like how I wanted to go back to the reservation to help my people help themselves essentially, because right now that does lack on any reservation, is how they can see that self-love, self-awareness, just taking care of yourself has a major impact on your life. And right now, nobody's telling them that. Like I said in my pitch, when somebody goes to IHS for depression, anxiety, pain, they're just given pills. And, some of them take them, they have no effects because these pills were made for, Native Americans. It's like we're part of their strategic, like when they're making those pills, we're part of it, but not the majority. So some of those pills don't even work for our people. It only makes them more sick. So with that in mind, I'm like, I want to go back. I want to be the person who can help them, who they can turn to, who like tells them, hey, you might just need to change your diet. And right there, like I have these people who are nutritionists, who are personal trainers, who are doctors, they can help you with nutrition and stuff like that. And like personally for me, I know other massage therapists have really good like nutritional background and awareness and all of that, but for me, I'm still working on that myself. So
that's okay.
Yeah, so we're getting up there, but I do have people that I can refer like my clients to. Yeah. And the same goes with like pain. If somebody were to go into IHS, say, hey, my back is hurting. They just get anti-inflammations, pain relievers, and then sometimes they get the harsh drugs.
Yeah.
And then our people are addicted to those now. So
it's almost like a band-aid instead of getting to the root, the deep root of the problem.
Yeah. And that's why I named my business that. And it took a lot of thinking to name my business, but in the back of my head, always wanted it to be like somehow correlated to a tree. Because like I said, my first plant, Sinsakani, is a plum tree plant. And so from that, you look at a tree, you can see the roots, the whole bark, and then the leaves. So when I think about it, I'm like, okay, it's standing upright because of the roots. And most of us fall or
because our roots.
Yeah, or die, or wither away because of our roots aren't strong. And the same goes for people with, like, if they're not rooted in themselves, they can lose themselves quite easily, like mentally, physically, spiritually sometimes. So that's where I come in to try to help them understand and see, because even that, like, the education is not there. As holistic practitioners or massage therapists, like, it's like, even talking to my family, they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, I massage people. And I've massaged a few of them and they love it. They're like, I wish you could, come massage me every week, because you really do help. Like, I have aunts who are weavers, jewelry makers, so they're working all day long and they're hurting, their back's hurting, shoulders hurting, and I go in and tell them, I'm like, hey, you should try doing these, like, exercises or stretches, or try eating, like, turmeric or ginger, help calm the inflammation in your joints down. And they're like, what inflammation? Okay. So it takes a lot to educate them, because it starts from there. Like, I tell them, do this, and then it goes to them saying, well, what is that? It's like the very basic thing that they should know, but they don't. So that's my goal with this. My business is just to help my people and not let them, struggle.
Yeah. So you are mobile right now, and then you have an office.
Yeah.
Correct.
So another massage therapist, like, we do trades. She actually offered up her space for a couple days. And it's been a year now since I've been renting from her. And so last month I told her, hey, I want to use Sunday and Monday. And she was like, okay, that's fine, because she doesn't use those days anyway. And those days fill up quick now. And I'm like, okay, I do need more time and more days for myself. And
so it kind of shows that there's a need now for that physical space.
Yes.
But I think, what do you like from your customer perspective? Do you think it's good to have both mobile and physical space?
Yes. That's where I struggle with, like, actually getting the space, because I know half of my mobile clients won't come to the space, because they love having me come to their house. They don't have to leave their home. When I get there, they're in their PJs. They get on the table. They're like, oh, I'm gonna take a bath now, take a shower. Some jump in their pools, and I'm like, okay, cool, like, fine. And then I leave. They're there, and so it makes it more convenient for them, and they love it. So it's gonna be hard to make that transition, but I'm trying to figure out like a way where it could
both.
be both.
I think
And
there has to be a way.
there is, like I said, I'm still doing the research, but there are like some places here in Albuquerque who do offer mobile prices, and so I'm just wanting to figure out like how they're working it and how it works for them, and maybe it'll work like for me as well.
Yeah, at my gym, I know they have, I don't know if they have any space available right now, but they have little offices, and like one person has like a Reiki and massage table there, but I never see them in there. So I think they do like other stuff, but they have that space. So maybe you could find a space where it's kind of flexible, that you don't have to be there all the time, and the rent's not too crazy, and so you could do both, like some type of cooperative or like gym or I don't know.
And me and Carol, who's the other massage therapist, she's actually a DOM too, so her office is dual for like her DOM, and then the other one is her massage office. But she actually was like, hey, if you need to, like, I'll move myself into this room and you can keep that room. And so we did have those talks. But I know there's a issue with her leasing or something. So we just kind of put that on the back burner for now. So there's that option as well. And I like her place. It's really nice. It's like calm and just in a convenient location as well. So I like that area for sure.
You'll find the right space. So as far as your goals go, like what are your goals for the next couple of years? Like how would you want to see your business grow?
Well, for sure, I want to have my own clinic here, like operating in my office, and hopefully working back home more. I'm looking like Gallup or Crown Point. And I do have a couple of like ideas in the back of my head to like talk to NTU or even the IHS in Crown Point to try to get a contract with them. The one in Gallup, try to get one there. And then one of my cousins actually told me a couple weeks ago that there was this hairdresser who was renting out her office. Like she rents it out to massage therapists, physical therapists, like whoever needs it. And so I already have her number. So whenever I'm like, hey, I want to use your office, like maybe this day on this week, I can try that out. Because I do have a couple like people, they're like old high school friends, but they book with me in Gallup. So I go out there and I work on them and then I come back. So I've done Gallup a few times already.
And that's ultimately where you want to serve.
Like around there for sure. And I just have the ideas. It's just making
the baby steps to get there.
Taking action and finding the right people to talk to you and just getting that foot in the door.
I think Scott sent a few connections we might be able to make for you. So we'll do those intros for sure from what he recommended. What have been some of the challenges that you've had to overcome, like on this journey of starting your business?
Well, right off the bat, massage therapy, there's this stigma around it. And I don't like the word masseuse because that does kind of aid to that stigma. And so I like to tell everybody I'm a massage therapist. I'm not a masseuse. I don't do any sexual favors, anything like that. So one of the challenges I face is, requests for that. So right now, like I feel like I advocate for the therapists in the area because I am a part of that respect massage thing with ABMP, which is a massage insurance thing. It's national.
Mhm.
So they actually started that to help us, like protect us, to educate us, to tell us how to deal with that.
Mhm.
And so I did the program. I, understood what they were talking about. And now I'm here training like my coworkers and
Mhm.
other therapists, like, hey, if you come across this person, like, don't
Yeah.
talk to them,
Mhm.
because it happens a lot. So that's one of the challenges that
Mhm.
I face. And so with that in mind, I'm a mobile massage therapist, so I really have to screen my clients and make sure that, I'll be safe.
Mhm.
And so some days I'm like, do I really want to see this person? Like, it's kind of sketchy. So it's hard to figure out like who's honest, who's like not a creeper.
Yeah.
So but it does come with the experience. Like, you tend to figure out who's like trying to take advantage of you just by the way they, act, by the way they talk. There's keywords that, they always use, they're always curious, what services we offer. So things like that, we gotta watch out for sure. And the biggest thing is just wanting to drop everything and move back home. Because, it's hard to be away from homeland. Like, it's always pulling you back. It's always drawing you in. It's like, hey, you're missed. You need to come home. Hey, things are happening. You need to come home. And I'm just like, but I'm trying to build something here. Then, but I'm like, but I am trying to come back. So, but I feel like that's something I struggled with, even just out of high school. And it doesn't ever go away. You just kind of learn how to ignore the feeling and just keep moving, because I don't know what, like, how that, or why it keeps coming back. But, as Native American, we're family oriented. So it's hard to be out here. And before I was out here, I was in Tucson for 9 years. So being out there was a little easier because it was far away. Like, I couldn't just pack up and leave and come home. But here it's a little closer and it's very possible. But I'm always like, hey, there's a purpose for you being here. You need to fulfill it, and then you can go home. So that's one of the biggest issues that, I face personally every day.
That's been common amongst some of the entrepreneurs that we've spoken with, is just that finding that balance between like pursuing your business and building your business and doing what you need to do to grow it, and then the responsibilities or obligations that you feel like you have at home, like finding that balance. And I definitely think it's cultural, and I think it's good to be family oriented. I think that's a special thing, but there needs to be that balance, especially when you're an entrepreneur and you're growing a business.
Yeah, and the way like I work around that is, I tell myself, hey, family's gonna be there, and you're doing this for your family, so
and your people.
Keep going, keep doing it. Eventually it will pay off, and I have to keep telling myself that. It's because it's so easy to just drop everything. So easy.
Eventually, like it with your goals in mind, you want to move back eventually, but you don't want to move back too soon before your business is ready to move back.
And with my business, I know it's going to take a lot. And I don't expect to move back and have this booming business. I expect to, go out there, educate people. Like, I want to talk to people at maybe conferences or wellness centers, or like maybe doing, like I wanted to do the Just Movement, like a chair event at one of their running things, and
Oh, yeah.
but
Mhm.
I wasn't able to take time off for
Yeah.
that. So next
Mhm.
year for sure, that's like one of my goals, is to try to join in with them on a couple events, just to, get out there and tell these guys, hey, you're out here, you're taking care of yourself. Like running, walking is a good way to release stress, to
Mhm.
take care of your like mental health. Like it boosts your happy chemicals just in a 30-minute walk. Like
Mhm.
that's what our people need, but right now they're struggling.
Yeah.
So
I agree. A lot of people are struggling with mental health, especially, but if people off of the reservation are struggling, it's probably even worse.
on the
Yeah.
reservation, and
Mhm.
that's due to like lack of resources and education. So it's gonna take a lot.
Yeah, but you're on the right path. I think you have your vision and you're starting to figure out the little steps to
Yeah.
take to get there.
It's a lot of little steps, but
Yeah, well, I've heard that it's better to focus on like, okay, what's my next baby step
Mhm.
versus like your ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, oh, that's a
You
lot.
get overwhelmed
Yeah.
easily. I understand that a lot. And I was telling Scott the other day when we were talking, I was like, my other biggest challenge is that I have a lot of self-doubt. So every now and then, I'll feel like I'm not really doing anything. Like I'll have a week where, I probably massage like 30 people, and I'm like, those 30 people felt nothing,
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
so like, that's how hard
Yeah.
usually like I get on myself, and then I'm like, well, none of them complain.
Yeah.
So it's constantly having to tell myself I'm doing good, I'm doing okay. Like,
Well, I'll tell you, my mom loves your massages. You help her out a lot, and she needs it because she's a little stressable. And like she she doesn't take the time for herself because she's like always taking care of everyone else. And so that's
yeah.
why I reached out to you. I was like, I'm getting her a gift card because then she's like forced to go and she loved your massage. So now she's like the repeat client.
She's been coming in every month.
So
And
you do make a difference. So just remember that when you have the self-doubt.
yeah, and it's always been there. Especially when I first started massage. I started at a corporate job, but this was in Tucson, so not the same one from here. And they were a lot better. And so I was there, and I was doing probably the same amount, like 35 hands-on time of massage. And after 2 months, I wanted to quit. I wanted to stop because my shoulders started hurting. My body wasn't, I felt like it wasn't good to do a massage, because at that time I was working at Safeway, so I was in a pretty dark place. Like I wasn't taking care of myself. And then I did the program for massage, and I started working for massage, and I wasn't in the same mindset that I do have today. Like I was just like, is this something I want to do for the rest of my life? Like I don't, though. I was like, I don't. And so I was struggling with that. But then I was, my books started getting more full. Like people were coming back, people were staying on the schedule. People were booking themselves 3 times on their schedule because it was getting harder to get on my schedule. And so when I started to see that, that's when I realized, okay, I have something. And it was just a matter of figuring out like what it was. So, and it was deep tissue. Like, and I was like, okay, I like this. And a lot of people joke, they're like, you just like hurting people. Well, like, no, they do that to themselves. I'm just here to make them aware of what they're doing to their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
But so I did that, and then I was like, okay, so I like this. Came home, I had to move home in 2017, and then I took a year off just because I had to get my license and everything in order here. And during that time too, I was home with my parents, living with them, and I was like, very comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, do I want to move out? Do I want to continue with what I'm doing? And my sister started at NTU, and I was like, I should go back. I should go back to school. But it wasn't working out for me. I didn't like school. So I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And then I just got my license and just went back to work.
Mm-hmm.
And was there for like 2 years, and then COVID hit. And then that was when, my door opened, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this.
Yeah. And you enjoy it so
I
far.
do enjoy it now. Like, I really like helping people.
Mm-hmm.
I like when they leave, they're not in pain, they're not as stiff or tight, they're not the biggest one is they're not depressed, they're not filled with anxiety, they look and they feel better.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where, I find the reward in what I do. I'm just like, I'm doing something. I don't know yet why, like what I do, but it's something.
Yeah. Well, it's that like holistic healing, like you said, finding other ways and to take care of yourself and teaching people self-love and how to just take care of themselves.
Yes. So my at the clinic that I'm working at now as well, the clients there is different than, like, say, working at a corporate job. Like, there it's routine, which is also a bad thing, because now these clients, will come in, feel like, okay, I'm just gonna get this massage and go home. But there, we target the mind, the body, the soul, and these clients leave feeling happier, healthier. And so that's where I'm like, okay, what else can I do to help them? And that's where I incorporate like all of my massage like tools, like cupping, that helps tremendously with getting people to move better, like especially if their energy is low, that definitely targets their energy to increase circulation. Like if they're having circulation problems, which is everybody, because they're sitting at a computer all day long. Like, even me sitting in this chair right now, I'm like, this is the longest I've sat in the chair.
My body.
Yeah. And you rarely find me sitting, but my downside is because I don't sit a lot. I'm always on my feet, always moving around. So it's not my back and my hips, it's my legs. Like, I always have to, work on them, stretch them out. I'm always cupping, working on myself. So, and that's where it comes into play. I'm like, okay, this doesn't feel good here. And then I go to like my sister or my niece. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna put this here. Tell me how it feels. And they're like, yeah, this doesn't feel good. I was like, what kind of, like,
tell me
what kind of not like feel good? Like, what does that mean? So it makes them think about like what they feel. Like, so that's where my work comes in. Like, if I'm pinning something down in your back and you're telling me, oh, that doesn't feel good. And I'm like, what do you mean it doesn't feel good? Like, does it hurt? They're like, no.
Is it good? Does it? Because sometimes something might not feel good, but it's not necessarily a bad hurt, right?
Yeah. And that's where our bodies like register the pain, like how it registers pain. A lot of people don't know or understand that there's different ways your body registers pain. Like I get people who get on my table and like deep in their, spinal muscles, and they're laughing. And I'm like, are you okay? Because that's how they register pain. It tickles to them. Some people, nearly jump off the table because it hurts so much.
Yeah.
They're like, why is that hurt so much? And I'm like, well, do you really want to know?
Yeah.
And then I tell them, you may have like some mental issue or something from the past, some traumatic experience, something.
Because your body holds that stuff, right?
It holds it in wherever your weakest point is in your body. A lot of it is up here on top of your shoulders. For some people. Other people, it's in the hips. Very rarely is it like anywhere else, but there's a few times it's been like people's quads. So like for me, mine is my quads. I have no idea why. But as a massage therapist, I'm not gonna lie, I don't like getting my legs. Yeah. But I've been working on it. But it just comes with time. Like I know I could not have anybody touch my legs until like I was talking to my instructors, and they were like, yeah, you have a lot of like trauma in your legs. They asked me, what did you do? And I was like, well, I was a catcher for like 5 years. I played basketball. I have fractures in my feet. I buckled my hyperextended left knee, right knee, who knows what that went through. So it was just a lot of like old sports injuries and getting hit so many times, like in a catcher position and this leg. So it was always things like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a very bad traumatic experience. It's just anything trauma related that happened to your body. Car accidents is a major thing people go through and don't realize they're going to be affected by it the rest of their lives, no matter what. They can get on pain pills, they can get on whatever, but their back pain is always going to be there. And I say that like from personal experience because I've been to car accidents, and there's always this one spot that comes back. If it's cold, if it's cloudy, it aches, but the body's gonna always have it there because a car accident means your spine is flung forward at a high speed faster than your body can protect itself, and then flung backwards even more faster. And so it's damaging a lot, but they don't tell us that. At the hospital, they don't say, oh, you're gonna be hurting for the rest of your life. So that's something I always ask my clients, have you been in any car accidents? Have you fallen? Have you banged your head? Anything, like even if they twisted or tweaked your ankle, I'm always like, did you do anything? They're like, no. And then when they try to lie, I'm like, your body says otherwise.
Your body is telling you the truth.
Yeah. So that's usually how I work.
That's interesting. That's cool though, because then at least you can help, work through that trauma that's being held in the body, and that probably over time helps at least people feel better. Maybe it'll always be there, but
yeah, because like I said, we're primitive beings. We're able to adapt. We're supposed to be able to evolve, and right now a lot of people just get stuck in a cycle, like in a bad routine. You can get into a routine, but you got to make sure that routine is a good one.
That's healthy.
Like some people, will get up in the morning, run, do what they need to do, write down their tasks for the day, get those done, and then at the end of the night, stretch, decompress the body, get a good night's rest, same thing over, and they'll have no issues with their body.
Because they're in a healthy routine.
Yeah. Whereas you get somebody who's working 12-hour days, sleeping 4-hour nights, 12-hour days, 4-hour nights.
Sounds like my fiance.
Their bodies are going to start breaking down.
Yeah.
Because our bodies need rest.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most it'll recover is during rest. And that's why when I get like these bodybuilders or people who have that strict routine, I'm like, when's your rest day?
I don't have one.
They're like, yeah, that's their number one answer. I'm like, so you're just beating your body.
Yeah.
Beating your body. And eventually, and I always tell this story because it does happen. Like I had this guy I started working on when I was at the corporate job. And he was just coming in routinely twice a week. He's a bodybuilder. And so I was working his pec muscle on his left side, and he had no arm extension, no abduction, overhead extension, things like that. And I was like, dude, you gotta stretch every day, maybe even twice a day. I was like, maybe even 3 times a day. And I was like, but if you do it once, please just try once a day, just try to stretch.
Mm-hmm.
And we were working for like solid 3 months straight, 2 times a month. And I was just trying to release that guy. But as much as he was lifting, and he was like pushing his, personal record every week. So he was going, I guess they say that he was going ham in the gym. And I was like, dude, you gotta slow down. Give your body time to recover, to repair. Because, when you're constantly contracting and building your muscles, you're creating new cells, new growth, and, your body needs time to come together and, protect each other. But he didn't give himself that time. And then he stopped coming in until like 6 months later, he came back in and he was like, dude, guess what happened? I was like, you tore your pec. He's like, I tore my pec. He took off his shirt, he flexed, he had this big old hole in his pec. And I was like, dude. And it was still like a little bruised, like so. And I was like, I told you. But now he stretches. And
he had to learn the hard way.
Yeah. And that's the stigma. Like in the bodybuilding world, they're like, don't stretch, you're only going to injure yourself, you're only going to hurt yourself. And I'm like,
it's the opposite.
Like, who told you that? Like,
yeah.
do you not know how muscles work?
Yeah.
I was like, you're only going to injure and hurt yourself if the body can't, expand as much as, you allow it to. And it can, like, people are able to put themselves in pretzels. Our bodies are capable of amazing things and capable to heal itself. We just have to give it the right resources, nutrients, and all of that to make it last.
Yeah. One of the last questions I'm gonna ask is, what is one piece of advice that you have for someone who might be starting their business or kind of on the fence?
Biggest thing is just to start. Like we hear all day long, is just start. Like it doesn't matter if you reach out to one client, at least it's one client. That client could bring in 10 other clients. Or like even in the regular retail world, like, word of mouth is where you're going to generate your customers and all of that. So it's also having, that passion for it. Like if you're talking about what you're doing, make sure, people know you're passionate about it. Because if you're not, they're not going to want to come back to you. Like, so you have to have that passion. And then on top of that, you got to be able to, multitask.
Yeah.
You got to be able to handle so many things at once. And there's ways, to be able to do that. Like I was telling you when I first came in here, I had things going on, but I was like, you know what? you gotta, they call it compartmentalize, so you gotta put that one there and be able to handle this one right now, and then, the next one. And then later, I gotta go to work. So now I have to put myself in that mindset. So it's all about having your mindset good and healthy. Because if you come into this, entrepreneurship world thinking, oh, it's gonna be so easy, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna have a good, thing, and it doesn't work out, like I said, you have these self-doubts, and now you're having to fight those battles at the same time. So it's like, okay, so just be yourself, for one, be passionate, and be courageous.
Okay, I love that. That's good advice.
Thanks.
And last but not least, where can people find you if they want to book a massage?
Right now, because I'm very personal and I love to screen people, it's via text, or they can call me, but because I'm in session most of the time, texting is the fastest way you can get a hold of me. So that number is 520-822-4533. And then usually I'm more active on Instagram, and that's at deep_rooted therapy, I believe. And then Facebook, not really active there, but I've generated a few clients from there. But I'm more so on Instagram and call or text.
Okay, I'll link that to in the description.
Yeah, and then I have a website, but there, that's where people can find like my services and rates and all of that. Like my office location as well. So that's on my website.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time and your story and your words.
I appreciate it. I liked talking about it. Gave me a new insight for sure.
That's awesome. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.